Howdy there, I'm back. It's your girl Kriegi. Doing something new for the YouTube channel, reboot kind of thing. I'm going to be doing more content based on things that are more near and dear to my heart as a radiological compliance inspector, and just as, more civil defense stuff in general. But today is Geiger counters, survey meters, dosimeters, and why everybody calls them a Geiger counter when only partially that is true for some of these devices. Like, for example, the CDV 700 is actually a Geiger counter. Like, it falls under the definition of a Geiger counter and what it actually means to be a true Geiger counter. The CDV 715, on the other hand, you'll see it, on online or wherever being sold as a Geiger counter, but it's not actually accurate that it's a Geiger counter. And the main reason it is not accurate as a Geiger counter is because it is missing the Geiger part. So the tube itself, like in the CDV 700 here, there's this tube, right? There's a probe with a tube, and it's a shielded probe. So you slide the door open, and the yellow tube inside here is a Geiger-Müller tube. So that's where the term, Geiger counter comes from, is that Geiger-Müller or GM tube. It's called many different things, but that's what makes a Geiger counter a Geiger counter. That's why this is legitimately 100% categorically a Geiger counter. But it's also why this one is not a Geiger counter. This is actually a survey meter. It falls under medium to high level radiation, whereas the Geiger counters are meant to detect low to mid level radiation. Now, this one actually works, which I'm kind of impressed because it's been in storage, and just overall it's been, one of those things. But yeah, so that is a survey meter, that is a Geiger counter. Now so how they work, the Geiger counters work based on the probe. So the Geiger-Müller tube detects the radiation, sends the information through the circuits to the gauge, gives you a reading. These, on the other hand, are a little bit different. So these actually use an ionized chamber to detect the radiation. That's why it's not as effective for low-level radiation like a Geiger counter is, because the Geiger-Müller tube is more sensitive than the ionizing chamber here. And fortunately, this unit is pretty old, so I can't put the case on like I normally would. I'm gonna have to do it upside down and then flip it over. I mean, such is the way for equipment that was manufactured in the 1950s and the 1960s. Now, this one here, it says it's a survey meter, but it actually has, a Geiger-Müller tube inside of it. So it's kind of like, well, people get them mixed up all the time, And then actually this is an older model, but it's one of the first digital models that I've actually been trained up on and things like that. I mean, you can get these things, they're kind of a commodity right now everywhere. I think I saw one online for like $100, and if you get the actual kit that has like the different probes and stuff, that even gets even more expensive because they don't even manufacture the probes for that anymore, because that's like a late 90s model. Late 90s, early 2000s model. And this one over here, this is actually just something I was browsing, you know, online, and I saw it, it came up, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to get that because, you know, I like vintage Geiger counters. You know, I prefer using the analog stuff over the digital stuff nowadays, but, well, for obvious reasons, I'm not really allowed to do that. And this big box here is actually something I have been trying to track down for a while. It's the final piece to what they call the CDV 781 aerial survey kit. So this was actually meant along with an entire kit, and I have a picture of the entire kit that I'll put up in here somewhere, and you'll get to see kind of what the entirety of the kit looks like. But yeah, this is the actual part that has the, you know, the Geiger-Müller stuff in it to actually detect the radiation. And it's actually meant to be mounted in airplanes, but I did find out that it runs on a 12 volt, you know, it's a 12 volt system, so I could hook it up in my, you know, in my car if I wanted to, and at some point I may actually try to make a video where I actually, you know, put it in there, hook it up, show that it works, and then go drive around, you know, see if I can find some sites where I might be able to pick up some readings or whatever to kind of show it off. But yeah, pretty much. Oh, the one thing I always do forget is, you know, this little thing right here. I use them as keychains because they're cheap, they're small, and they're actually, you know, they're small enough to be handy, but they're big enough to where I won't lose my keys. That's one thing that, you know, going forward, if I ever fumble around my pockets or I feel like I'm looking for something, it's because I'm trying to make sure I have my keys, because if I put something down for 2 minutes or more, I don't remember where I put it. But yeah, so these are actually meant to detect, you know, absorbed dose for, you know, for individuals. So I'd clip this onto my belt or, you know, somewhere on my dress or wherever, and then it would tell me, you know, how much radiation I've absorbed, you know, and stuff like that. And it's not going to be easy. I'm going to try to get a picture of it to kind of show you what the meter inside actually looks like. If I can't get an actual picture, I have some stock footage from, you know, some old civil defense documents that, you know, show it, but I'd rather be able to show you the real thing of what it actually looks like. Well, chummers, that's all I've got really for today. Stay safe. Don't be a dreckhead. Kriege out.